Did you know that if you're really stiff, you can do yoga a lot more safely than somebody else who's really, really flexible? Hi, my name's Kamina Sue, and in this video I'm going to share with you some simple and effective yoga poses that you can do even if you're really stiff. Yoga is all about awareness, and so the first thing that you want to create awareness of is your spine. Okay, so it's very, very important. And so the first exercise we're going to do is something called cat-cow breathing. So we're going to come onto, turn around this way, onto our hands and knees, and making sure that we have our hands really spread, or fingers really spread, so we're evenly distributing the weight of our upper body onto the hands. You want to make sure that the arms are nice and straight and that everything is stacked, so your wrists are underneath the elbows, underneath the shoulders, and that your knees are underneath the hips. We're going to take an inhalation, rolling the shoulders away from the ears, lifting the head, your chest and your sit bones as you take that long, slow inhalation. And then once you reach the top of your inhalation, you're going to take a long, slow exhalation and move into what's called spinal flexion. So as we do that, feel like you're releasing your head and your neck, and you're lifting the navel up into the spine and breathing out behind the heart. So after we do our cat-cow breathing, we're now going to move into child's pose. So it's very, very simple. All you need to do is come to sitting back onto your heels and then coming forward like so. So we're making the spine rather resting the spine in a nice neutral position. Now, if you're finding that your quads and your lower back are really tight, you can go ahead and place a block underneath the head like this. And then just bring the arms back on either side of you. And this is actually really nice because it just lets your body relax a little bit more when the head is supported. So you want to be here for at least a good 60 seconds. Long, slow, deep breathing. And see if you can actually just get really heavy, like you're sinking down into the floor. The next pose we're going to be doing is something to help open our groins and our hip flexors. And this one is called lizard pose. So what you're going to do is that you're going to come to this position here, so bringing one leg forward, the back knee way back. Now this might be just enough for you right here. So if that's the case, just go ahead and sink your hips. You're moving into a deep lunge. And you should be feeling the front of that back hip gently lengthening. If you'd like to progress a little bit more, you can go ahead and bring both hands on the inside of that front leg and just keep sinking those hips and lifting your chest. Okay, so this is really a nice and relaxing pose here. So sinking down, letting your body weight help you open the hips and the hip flexor. Long, slow, deep breathing, and being here for at least a good 60 seconds. Once you start getting a little bit more open, you can start to bring your forearms down onto the floor like this. As a little bit of a regression from that, you can also place some blocks underneath your forearms so you can elevate your forearms as well to make the pose a little bit more relaxing. But there's no hurry to do this. There's no end goal in yoga. So take as much time as you need and just enjoy the ride. Closing the eyes if you like. Long, slow, deep breathing. So after we have done our lizard pose, which is a really lovely hip flexor opener, we're now going to work on opening the hamstrings. And one of the most accessible hamstring openers that are out there is something which is called the half splits. So basically what we're doing here is that we are bringing ourselves onto our knees. We're making sure that the back leg is vertical, the femur is vertical on the back leg. We're just going to bring one foot forward like this. Now you might be like this, okay? You might be up here with that leg bent. That's totally fine. What you're going to do is that you're going to take a couple of blocks and place them on the tall side, and place your hands on there so you can actually keep some integrity in your spine. We don't want to be rounding forward like this. You want to try and keep the spine lifted, okay? And over time, what's going to happen is that as you keep the spine lifted, you can then start to gently wiggle that front heel forward to straighten that leg as your hamstrings get more and more open. Okay, so the most important thing here is to keep the spine lifted and keeping that front leg, straightening it as much as you can, but once again, not being in a hurry to do that. You also want to be engaging that front foot. So notice how I'm really spreading my toes, I'm lifting the arches. It's like I'm pushing something away with that front foot. And over time, what's going to happen is that that front hamstring will open. So long, slow, deep breathing here, keeping a nice tall spine and being here for at least a good 60 seconds. And I would do each side twice. So after you've done your half splits on each side, now we're going to move into a twisted lunge, which is super simple. All we need to do is basically bring one foot forward, the other knee back. It doesn't have to be as far back as you did when you were in your lizard pose. You want to be sort of fairly kind of tall here. Inhaling, bringing the opposite arm up to the knee that's bent. Exhaling, you're going to bring that elbow rather to the top of that thigh. I'd like to make what's called an ahimsa fist, a non-violent fist with the bottom hand, and placing the palm on top and pressing the palm on top of that fist to help open the chest and see if you can actually gently sink those hips. So you're going to be here for about 30 seconds. Long, slow, deep breathing. So the next asana or pose we're going to be doing is a supported bridge pose. So this is going to feel really, really nice on your lower back and also help to lengthen out the front of those hips. So let's go ahead and come onto your back, and you're going to take a block and you can place it on whichever side feels the best. So if you're really, really stiff, you might want to just put it on the low side like this. And then just you're placing it right underneath your sacrum. Okay, so don't place it too far up your back or too far away. Place it onto your sacrum, and then making sure the feet are relatively engaged. You don't want to just let the feet kind of sort of fall asleep here. Go ahead and make sure your toes are nice and spread, that you're pressing through the balls of both feet and also grounding through the big toes. And as you're doing that, see if you can just gently move your shoulders down the mat a little bit so you can get a little bit of length in your neck. As you get a little bit more open, you can go ahead and come onto a taller and taller side of the block, like so. And then eventually what's going to happen is that over practice, especially if you are keeping what's called muscular engagement going on. So the cues for that would be gently feeling like you're squeezing your knees together. Okay, squeezing the knees in together. That'll help to recruit your glutes. And by doing that, you'll actually will start to build some strength and awareness here in this pose. Eventually, you won't even have to use a block at all. You can just go ahead and clasp your hands underneath yourself and actually use the muscular engagement and the openness that you've been cultivating to do the pose. While you're here, you also want to be thinking about another cue I just thought of, to bring those shins a little bit sort of towards that wall in front of you. That'll help to lengthen your lower back. So breathing here in bridge pose for about 30 seconds, long, slow and deep. And I would do this about 3 times. So every yoga practice ends with Shavasana. And I must say it's one of my very favorite poses. So here we're going to be coming onto our backs, and if you are really stiff in your lower back, this is actually so nice to put a blanket or a bolster or something, you can even use 2 blocks side by side to put underneath your knees. And then just go ahead and lie down and just let your arms move out from the body. Closing the eyes, relaxing your face and jaw, and being here for a good 3 to 5 minutes. If you do this little sequence at least 3 to 5 times a week, your mind and body be freed up in ways that you never expected. That, my friends, is the beauty of yoga. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.